Welcome to Inspired by Design, the podcast where we explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you rediscover your authentic self and navigate life with less resistance. I'm Katie Rupert, a former hustle and grind overachiever on a thrilling and messy journey. I'd love to share what I'm learning and help others in self-discovery using human design. So, if you're seeking a way to move forward, let me be your weekly mindset coach and share stories to inspire you to action towards your unique purpose without the force or burnout. Hello and welcome back. I'm excited, although it's bittersweet because this is our last of our type interviews, but I've saved a very interesting, very intriguing type for last. This is our reflector type interview. I'm really excited to dive into this. The reflector type is the most rare type in human design, about 1% of the population. So there's a chance that you haven't even met a reflector type just yet, but you're going to meet Jesse today. She's a reflector. And what is so fun about Jesse and I go way back. She's one of my closest friends, and she may even be the first person that I really geeked out about human design with. She's always open to anything that I'm learning, and I think you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but she says things like, "I'm so glad you like to learn everything because then I can just like learn by you talking and not have to do all of that studying on my own or whatever." So I really appreciate, because every time I feel like I have a new obsession, Jesse's right there, like super interested, and I know she is. I love that, Jesse, about you. Let me tell you a little bit about Jesse human design wise, and then we're going to have her share all about her, and we'll ask her these questions just so you can get a little taste of what it's like to be a reflector from her perspective. Reflectors are samplers of environment and energy. They don't have any defined energy centers in their human design graph, which means energy might feel a little inconsistent. Some days reflectors can have a lot of energy, and some days they need to go take a break. But overall, the gifting of being a reflector is that you're not meant to be any one certain way all the time. And it's a gift because if you think about the word reflection, we think of a mirror, and we need reflectors in our collective, in the community, because they can mirror back to us how we're coming off. So that could be good and it could be bad. What I love to think about is when you meet a reflector, if you really, really like them, that can show you, you can reflect back to you some of the good work you've done on self-esteem and loving yourself and being kind to yourself and others. If you meet a reflector and they kind of rub you wrong, that can be a really good indication that there's some internal self-love work to do, because they can absorb the energy and reflect it back to us with their highest good. The inner authority for a reflector is none, which is crazy, right? We have 12 inner authorities, but a reflector doesn't have one. So what does that look like? They get to sample all different ways that they feel, and it's all about the environment for them. They call it a lunar authority, so there's technically a term for it. And just like the moon has different phases, a reflector will sample the energy of the day, and that can change multiple times as the moon changes through all of the different places that it could be every 28 days. And this authority calls a lot of trust and waiting, but it's kind of exciting too, because you get to be, and their signature theme is like surprise and delight. So there's always something around the corner. There's always something for a reflector to be just surprised in a good way. Oh, I like how this feels today. And the red flag for a reflector, when they're trying to be something they're not, they're going to feel disappointment. I think we all can identify with disappointment, but a reflector would probably sense that in their body quite a bit. Overall, what I would say before we get into the actual experience, it seems like a reflector is all about environment, feeling environments out to see, is this a place I want to be? Do I feel good in this place? And if the answer is no, then you need to go find a different environment. And if the answer is yes, look around. Can you recreate this? And also, I think it's super important for reflectors to find places and spaces where they can feel really good. And that's a great way to nurture and self care. Last thing about Jessie, she is a 6'2" profile. And so her personality shines as a natural role model. So, all throughout her entire life, people have seen her and thought, I bet she has some good advice. And what I love about it is I know that Jessie comes from a small town and she kind of seems, I'm not in that small town, but it feels like she really is a tribe leader, a glue for that community. And people look to her and they come and see her where she works. And I can't wait to hear all about your experience as a 6'2" reflector. Welcome, Jessie, to Inspired by Design. I'm so glad you're here.
Me too.
So tell us about you. I mean, I've talked about your type and all of that, but we really just want to get to know you and your experience today. And I can't wait to hear what you'll share and what comes up. Tell us a little bit about you, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay, so I live in central Missouri and I am married with two kiddos, the one that just keeps walking back and forth because she knows that we're on Zoom. Um, and
Shout out to Hallie.
I have always lived in a small town. I grew up in Nebraska. I moved back to Missouri, where my family's all from. I work at a license bureau, which is not a place that I ever thought I would be, but here I am loving it. I don't know. We're going on 2 years. What else? We're a very active family. We just recently moved and we live on a small little farm thing. I wouldn't even call it a farm. We have 10 acres, which I feel like people from like where Katie lives, that's a lot of acreage. Here, not so much, but we're loving it. And that's pretty much sums up me. And I'm super excited for this. And like you said, I love that you have jumped so far into human design and I love learning about it as it was nothing that I had ever heard of before Katie decided to go down the tunnel of human design. And then I got to just hear all about it and learn about it. I was shocked to know that I was 1% of the world because, I feel like we all kind of feel like we're unique in our own way, but still like 1% of the world. That's crazy.
No, you're so special.
I know. So yes, and my husband is also a reflector, which is mind-blowing to me. We're
Yes.
so unique and far from in between, but yet we're married.
Oh my gosh, that blew my mind too. I remember the moment when I ran his chart. I was like, wait a minute, how sure are we on the birth time? And you had sent me, well, first for you, I felt that way. And you like sent me a picture because there's what is it your mom that has like clocks on the wall or something of the
Yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My brother and I, yeah,
So it's very, I mean, it's a firm time, right? So I'm like, okay, Jesse definitely is. And then you looked up the birth certificate for your spouse, and I like ran it in two different ways. I'm like, what? How is this possible? And it's just meant to be. It's so neat, so neat.
yes. And it's funny because I feel like, which I guess would make sense, even though we're both reflectors, but him and I have very different opinions on the same situation, which I would assume that it's just reflected differently for both our personalities, I guess. I would think that we would have common ground though on looking at a situation, bringing it in, but it's completely different, which I'm like, why? Why would you even think that, But
Yeah.
he is reflecting it differently than I am, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think the big common ground you likely would have is the desire and need to feel good
Yes.
in general, like feel
Yeah.
good in your body and feel good in your environment, whether that's a house, a workplace, which
Yeah.
grocery store you choose, that sort of thing. Like, I don't like that place. Like, it could be different for both of you, but that's likely a big theme. So maybe that's something you can look for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, so you have known about human design almost as long as I have. Can you talk to us a little bit about any small way that you've adjusted how you use your energy or how you show up to life now that you are aware of your human design type?
So I am a lot more cautious and open-minded when it comes to situations that I feel yucky about. Whereas before human design, it was like, okay, well, this is weird, but I guess I'm just gonna sit here. And I can think of a couple different occasions where I walk into a room and sit down, and usually I would just sit there. But now that I'm more aware of myself and how I feel, and okay, I'm there to have a good time, and this is for me. So I have gotten up and moved myself away from certain people or certain groups because I know that it does not make me feel good. And it now that I'm more aware of it, it physically makes me exhausted, which I have never noticed that before, obviously. And I'm just so intrigued that we human design as a whole, not so much me, but I want to be aware we've all been put on this earth to do something. And our design is how we are supposed to live our life. I'm so in tuned on that now. What is my purpose? And just being self-aware of what I'm here for. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of leaned into that next question I had for you, because making everyday decisions, do you have an example of how, okay, now I know it's okay for me to take up space and time to make decisions that are important to me, and also making decisions about how I feel in an environment, listening to that intuition or that sense. Can you talk a little bit about how that's given you more confidence, maybe less second guessing or less stress? Anything that it supported you with in terms of decision making?
Yeah, I mean, I can see myself more, like I said, more taking more time to think about things. When you told me that I need the whole month to choose a big decision, I'm like, well, that makes sense because now I feel like I'm just way more laid back with decision making, which before that I was like, okay, we need to know now. Like
Hmm.
we have to make that decision right now or by the end of the week or whatever. And now I'm just I even feel like I'm just like, like lay back, like, it'll come to me, you know? Whereas I don't believe I was like that prior. Like you can ask my husband. I'm very like, we have to decide this right now.
Yeah.
Why are we waiting on this?
Yeah.
So yeah, uh, for a personal experience, I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but I do feel more laid back, I feel like is the word for that. Like
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Right. And I remember you telling me a story about being at an event and you were sitting at one table or at a place, and it was like a community event, and you knew that you wouldn't feel good sitting at a certain table, and so you went to a different table, and you're like, I would never have done that before. Like, I don't remember if it was I didn't want to hurt someone's feelings or something like that, but you made the decision and you felt more confident, like this isn't weirdness, but I'm just going to trust that me sitting somewhere else today is what's
Yeah.
right for me. And that clarity came. Do you remember that story?
Yes. Yeah. We were at bingo, my weekly bingo
Mhm.
that there's a place in town that puts on, and I have someone in my past workplace that became very toxic, and I knew that then, but it's so much more clearer now. And she was there, and there was a whole group of them, and then there was someone with her that I just truly just love with everything I have, and just love being around her. But she was around all those other people, and it was a big long table, and they were here, and there was nobody here, and I sat on the edge. My friend was like, "Come sit with us." And I'm like, "I'm good. I'm good right here." And I did, and I enjoyed myself, and it was nothing. I was just to me it was like I'm just not giving that person the opportunity to make my night crappy or
Yeah.
feed off of her energy of being so toxic. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the same as several different people in my life. Like, human design has really opened up that door for me to be able to be like, okay, my gut instinct saying that this is not good for me is probably true, you know?
Mm.
And following that and just kind of just not letting myself absorb around that or be around that.
Yeah. A couple of things that you said, I just want to point out. So, for those listening that are not reflectors, this is really good advice if you want to take some wisdom, right? One of the things that Jessie has in her profile is a wise role model. So, a lot of human design is about connecting mind and body, which I think is what draws me into the system, why it made so much sense initially, because I've studied so much yoga and that Eastern philosophy of life, to hold space and not grip on to things too hard, just allow, right? That concept. So when you're sharing this story, what I'm noticing you talk about is really what is the feeling in my body, and knowing and trusting the wisdom of our body. Every single human has a wise body that's trying to communicate. And so many times we sever that connection, or we don't give it any attention. And part of the experiment of, do I like using my design to make things flow easier? It's all about that connection. Okay, I don't need to just make decisions for my mind, but also check in with my body. How does this feel? And so different types might have a different flavor of that, but you said it very, very well. And I think we all can take that. The other thing that I noticed you talking about is when you were sharing about, I used to get this, I have to know now, we have to decide by the end of the week. Like, that is a sense of pressure. That's a sense of, whether it's pressure to figure it out and make a decision so that you can calm down, right? Like, we get those beliefs in our mind. If I figure this out, then everything's going to feel better. And that's not necessarily true. Then we get upset that, oh, we made the wrong decision. What you were describing in that, like, I used to need or force the decision, right? This is a lot of the theme of what I'm doing with coaching right now. We're in the middle of this lighten your load journey coaching experiment with, we have about 8 people in that program right now. And it's all about that very thing. Instead of gripping on and trying to force, whether it's a decision or anything else, it's, how can I lighten my load? And for you, I'm just going to chill out a little bit about decisions. I'm going to let it take some time. That's a way that you can lighten or ease up on your life. And that is one of the coolest, most practical ways that you can use your human design chart, is just, okay, where am I feeling resistance? Where am I gripping? Where am I carrying a backpack that I don't need to carry anymore?
Yeah.
And allowing it to be a little bit easier. So
Yes.
let's see. Let's talk a little bit about, so you've kind of given us an example of this, but can you think of anything else where you've kind of caught yourself? Hey, this didn't feel right. This didn't feel good because I was going against my design. Have you had any of those moments?
I don't know. Have I? I feel like I would have told you if I did. I feel like I'm way more observant of my surroundings now, and I don't go against my gut. Like, my body knows what's going on, and they know more than I do. Like, like a subconscious almost. I feel like if we would have had this interview, however long you've known about human design, I feel like my answers would have been totally different. I definitely have learned a lot from you, and I feel like I'm living true to my inner self, like I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think one of the reasons why it impacts you in such a positive way is not having energy centers defined or consistent. Having all of that openness does create openness for you. I'm open to trying out new things. I'm open to a new way of thinking. I'm open, being able to try those on and not attached to them. So that's pretty cool. I'm thinking of when you first moved into your new house. I remember you talking about where was it your work desk was going to go, if it was upstairs, downstairs, and you had like this sense that it didn't need to be downstairs. Like, did anything come of that? I don't even
Yes.
remember.
So when we moved into our new house, there are several different rooms downstairs that have one or no windows. And Kenneth had said, my husband had said, you can have it down there. Like, all of your pampered chef stuff and all your office stuff can go downstairs. So it's not, because in our old house, it was like in our walkway of our living room and our kitchen. So to get to either room, you had to walk by my desk. And it bothered him way more than I ever knew that was a thing. And he was just very adamant, like my office space needs to be downstairs. And I instantly knew, like, I won't ever go down there. Like, it's not realistic for me to walk down the stairs every morning after I get my coffee, then walk back up, get ready, go back down. Like I'm a in the morning times, I sit at my computer probably for a maximum of 30 minutes, but it's not a full like 30 minutes down at my computer. It's up, down, this, go wake up the kids, go back and sit down, go wake up the kids again because they're not awake. Um, that kind of thing. And I was like, he'll be okay with it. Like I finally just after because this was a discussion that was had prior to us moving in. And you can look at a place and be like, I want that there and that there. But then you put those things there and you're like, oh, that does not look good at all. So then you're switching it. So we had moved in at this point after he had brought that to my attention that my desk would not go upstairs. And I was like, okay. So one day we were there and my mom was with me and I had gifted my desk from home, my old house to one of my kids. And his dad's desk, my husband's dad is deceased, and his desk was left downstairs. And I'm like, that's my desk. That I really like that, and it's mine, and whatever. I'm gonna take it for my own. It was downstairs in a room already, and Kenneth said, that can be your office. All that stuff in there can be yours. He was taking a nap one day, and my mom was there, and I said, I don't like it here. We're moving it upstairs, and I have a perfect place for it. So my desk is actually in our living room by the front door. And he was like, "Where did that desk come from?" He was kind of like, okay, I didn't think she had another desk. And I was like, it's your dad's from downstairs and it's gonna go there. 2 days later, he was like, it doesn't look too bad there. I think it's gonna be okay. So it was like, whew, good, because I'm not putting it back downstairs.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so glad I asked about this
Yeah,
story because not only does it show like it was against somehow where the desk location was against my design and you knew it and
yeah,
then you were able to compromise with a fellow reflector to
yeah,
figure out an environment that worked for both of you. So cool. I'm glad that came up. Thank you for
yes,
sharing that one. All right, so let's talk about your personality profile. Everybody gets two numbers. The first number is the one that you might see in yourself more, and then the second number is what other people see in you. And yours is a 6-2, which means you've got this life journey path for your first number where you start out first 30 years is getting your hands dirty, doing things maybe the hard way, being an experimenter, figuring out where your wisdom lies based on making mistakes and doing it yourself. That's the first 30 years of every six profile. And then you move into, which you've moved now into this observation mode where you're like, I'm a little tired. I'm going to learn by watching others now. And so you're in that phase of life. And then soon enough, that will come together where you've got both the experiential wisdom and the observational wisdom from watching others comes together. It makes you this basically Buddha character. You get to be the Jesus that tells stories and parables, and everyone's like, "Ooh, enlightened, amazing!" I'm so glad that I know you and get to have a 6 in my life to be my role model. I'd love to hear about how you experience the 6 or that path of the 6, and then the 2. What others see in you is just this naturalness or the need for alone time, like she needs to be alone right now, or she needs her space or something like that. There's some piece of that probably comes up. And also it's likely that people look at you and they're like, she's good at this, she needs to do this. And you have so many things that you're talented at, but tell me about your experience with being a 6-2.
So one thing that really stands out that I can see now where I could not see 10 years ago, I've had so many people tell me like, you don't really have a group of friends that are just a group, like you're friends with everybody. And people are used to be like, One particular person is coming to mind saying that because she is someone who does not make friends easily. She doesn't have a lot of friends. And I look at like high school. I was friends with everybody. Like legit had a relationship with every single person in my class.
Hmm.
And obviously there's so many different personalities there. And I want to point out that I graduated with 32 kids. So it's
Yeah.
I had a class of 800. So I see that as, and I see it more now. Like I can relate to a lot of people. Feel like that's just my human design too, right? Like I reflect all these personalities and I can relate to somehow, some way. And I see that now, whereas I did not see that 10 years ago. Like, I don't know, I'm just a likable person. I don't know why everybody likes me, you know? And when you say like trial and make mistakes in the first 30 years, and now I'm in that observation stage, I can totally see that too, because I've always been the person like, I'll try it first. I want to go first. And that's with anything, like any new experience, any dangerous things or whatever it may be. And now I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'll sit here and watch. Like I've definitely come to that for sure. And I'm very more hesitant. Oh, what I was gonna say is I used to think that people would, so I'm not a selfish person. I never have felt very selfish, but when people are telling me things about what they're going through or asking for my advice or that kind of thing, I always seem to fall into, well, this one time this happened to me and blah 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 blah. That's how I mended it or went recovered from it or whatever. This was my experience. And I've always been very hesitant of doing that because I don't want anyone to ever think that their story I'm trying to change into my story and what happened to me. And I've seen that firsthand of that happening, and I've never wanted anyone to think that that's what I'm trying to do. Um, but the more that I learn about human design is that is what I'm supposed to do, you know, like that is how I am supposed to help that friend in need or in this situation because I've already done it and I want you to know how I recovered from it and take bits and pieces what fits for you. I think that's big for me because I used to hold back on telling people things because I'm like, well, this isn't about me, it's about you. But I've opened that way more up knowing my human design and how that is I'm supposed to do that. That's what I'm here for, or
Yeah.
a part of why I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautifully said. It's about connection, really. And you are sharing about how you can get out of your own way or any beliefs about how you're making it about you and trusting that this conversation, this connection is happening for a reason and sharing, they can take it or leave it. But
Yeah.
I love that you're willing to use your voice and speak up. And that's a great way to connect to people. It helps with all
Mhm.
relationships, really. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. So I guess as we wrap up, if someone's listening and they are a reflector, or maybe they know a reflector, um, what is something that you'd share with them? Maybe a little piece of advice or a little tweak that they could try. And maybe this will be general for everyone, right? But what would you suggest from your experience about listening to your design or trying it out?
First of all, you need to talk to Katie and figure out what your design is and what it all means because it just looks like a person on there with whatever. And I still I'm not very educated in it other than what she tells me. And I am just so intrigued by so many different things that I didn't really know about myself. And I think that um it has been life-changing, honestly, because we're all put on this earth for a purpose. And it just makes things a little bit easier when you know what your purpose is, you know, and how you're supposed to live your life to the fullest. And one thing that stands out, several months ago, we were at the retreat and you had dug deeper into each of our human designs. And there's things that I've never known about myself until other people have told me, which I thought was really weird. And one thing that has really stuck with me at that retreat, you said that I'm a perfectionist. And I'm like, there is no way I am a perfectionist. Like, I don't care where things are or this or that. And then our other friend was like, really? Because this, and this. And she like lists all these examples. And I'm like, wow. And that just keeps coming back up like, wow, I am a perfectionist and I never even knew it.
Mm.
Um, which is just kind of mind blowing to me because I'm almost 34 years old. You'd think that by now I know that I was a perfectionist, but I had no idea.
Mm. Yeah, you have a different flavor of it, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Some self-awareness. So, the inspiring piece of all that is this is helpful for self-awareness. This is worth trying out to see if it does impact your life in a positive way.
Yes, absolutely.
So, is there anything else that you want to share? A story we didn't get to, just anything random that you want to share before we say goodbye today?
I don't think so. I think that's all I have for you.
Well, I so appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. I know that this is outside of your comfort zone to be recorded and to share, but I know so many people will be inspired by it. So thank you. Thank you. And if you do want to take her advice and have your own reading or have me look at your chart and just tell you what it means so you don't have to study it, I have openings for readings, both mini sessions where you can just kind of learn the nuts and bolts, or full readings where I break down the whole chart and give you some actionable things to start trying. So thank you for that. There's also a couple of workshops coming up. So if you're in the St. Louis area, you can check those out. Just, mosey on over to the show notes and you can find everything I've mentioned and more. Jesse, thanks for being here. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
All right, until next time, have a great one. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, subscribe, or even leave a review to help others find the show. For more tools and insights, visit my free Facebook group. And until next time, keep embracing exactly who you are and move forward one inspired action at a time.